Hi!
Hello! We're so excited to be with you all this evening to talk to you guys about being a startup family. Pero syempre, kung single ka and you're still not married, I think this presentation is still something that you could relate to dahil personal experiences po namin to. And we both started saving up, investing, and doing all of these things before we even got together. So,
Absolutely.
there. So, we wanted to share with you, ano nga ba yung mga kailangan for a startup family? What are the things that you need to prepare for? And we kind of broke it down into three very simple steps. These are things that we've realized before we got married, during our first year of marriage, and now that we are expecting our first child. So for our first stop, our change in priorities.
The difference in my perspective when I was single and when I'm married now is that mas kinailangan ko nang isipin kung ano ba talaga yung mga priorities ko. When I was single, I was just basically thinking about my happiness, my career. But now, look at our priorities list, love, and this is what we really hold on to. Okay, so it's God, your spouse, children, work, and ministry. Ministry also meaning other people in your life, your friends, your family.
Giving back,
Giving
charities.
In my perspective, marami kasing na-mix up, nauuna yung work kaysa sa family because they think that we're doing this for the family. But in essence, it's not the only thing that you can do. You can also be there for your family spiritually, emotionally, and physically, not just because you're providing, ibig sabihin, tapos na yung responsibility mo.
How can you be purposeful in anything that you do? You can only become purposeful pag alam mo muna yung priorities mo. And when you actually, kahit i-write down mo yung priorities mo, write it down somewhere where you could see it. God, your spouse, your children, your work, your ministry, your friends, everything else after, mapapansin mo na lahat ng decision making mo, even the difficult and the big decisions that you make, it becomes a bit more simplified when you remind yourself of the priorities that you have. And that becomes your purpose as well. Ang hirap magtrabaho, ang hirap kumita ng pera, ang hirap gumawa ng mga bagay na ganyan kung wala kang purpose kasi mapapagod ka lang. But ang sarap-sarap kumayod pag alam mo yung priorities and yung purpose mo.
Find your why.
Yes. And for our second point naman in change in priorities, it's not just about you anymore at kailangan po natin i-accept yon when you've gotten married or when you've started a family. I know this is a little complicated dahil syempre lahat tayo nasanay tayo na you're single, you're making decisions for yourself, diba? But I think one of the reasons why we often have arguments or mga unnecessary disagreements with our spouse or with our family is because nakakalimutan natin na hindi na lang tayo yung gagawa ng desisyon. We are part of a community now. Meron ng network of people that needs to be considered before we make our decisions. And that's what Juancho was talking about earlier. Family before self-satisfaction. I love this because oftentimes naririnig po natin ngayon yung importance of self-love. And importante naman na alagaan natin at ingatan at mahalin natin ang ating mga sarili. Pero kailangan din nating tandaan that priorities change when you have a family, and that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. Some people would look at it na, ay, wala na akong time para sa sarili ko, wala na akong time para gawin yung mga gusto kong bagay. But you can also look at it as, ay, meron akong bagong tao na pwede kong isama sa mga gusto kong gawin, di ba? Kung gusto mong mag-business, gusto mong mag-bagong hobby, magbagong things that you want to try out, you now have another person or another group of people that you can bring into that. So make sure that you reconsider your priorities and know that you now have a family to take care of.
Absolutely. And to our next point, dating versus married. Actually, we touched on this earlier and I talked about a little bit about open communication, just setting expectations. Actually, before getting married, we set rules, lalo na yung mga rules of engagement on how we should attack things, like when we are about to, get into a fight with each other, set boundaries na, set rules of engagement. Setting expectations with one another also is not always a bad thing.
Yeah.
And schedules, actually importante lalo na ngayon ang scheduling. We make it to a point na we're very much intentional with our date night, because pag dumating na yung baby namin, we don't know how much time we have for each other alone. And also with being good stewards of our time with money, with businesses. Are we working? Are we putting our best foot forward in terms of being a responsible spouse and being a responsible husband and wife?
Which brings us now to our second big point for today, which is dealing with big decisions.
So first, always remember your priorities. What can you say about that?
So, pag meron tayong big decisions, di ba, ang hirap kasi when you have a big decision that you need to make, you're almost always caught up with your emotion. Dahil, if it's a big decision, most of the time, it also involves a lot of your emotion. And it's hard to make decisions out of emotions. Kaya, make sure that you take some time to breathe, maybe pray, meditate, and really kind of relax first before you make that big decision, and try to remember what are your priorities. Pag meron kang big decision na sa tingin mo okay naman pero nag-aalangan ka, tignan mo yung priorities mo. So, pwede mo tignan na, 1, does it please God? Is it something that will make me honor God? 2, is it something that will take care of my spouse, or that my spouse will be happy about? Or is it something that my children will enjoy, or something that they can benefit from? So, pwede mo isipin ulit palagi yung mga priorities mo before you start making big decisions.
And next point naman is, don't be afraid to ask for advice and build a community. One thing that helped me and helped us a lot during the pandemic was having mentors around us. And not just for guiding us through the hard times of our marriage, but also in our business. Kasi nung kasagsagan nung pandemic, we didn't have work. We didn't know how to go about it. We didn't know how to to maneuver our expectations and maneuver our assets, right? And to make things last. And good thing that we had our mentors there. So after we pray about it, we consult with them on what do you think we should do. And that worked wonders for me.
They always say na you should always be in a room full of people who are smarter than you. You get to ask for advice and you get to learn new things. And that's one of the most important things that you can do before you make any decision, big or small, diba? You can always ask for another perspective on these decisions. And finally,
before moving forward, make sure both parties fully understand the big decision you are making. This is very much clear. Hindi ko na kailangan i-explain masyado. Pero this is one of the things that we also had to learn the hard way. Because we actually had a conversation regarding this just recently na I didn't fully understand what was going on, and it just, parang ang dating sa akin, it hit me in the face. But, diba, this is something that we need to work on, actually, kahit moving forward. Make sure that your wife or your husband understands what you're getting into.
For our third and final point for tonight, which is family finances.
Finally, finances. Did you know? Money consistently ranks as the number one reason why married couples fight.
This is part of open communication, because if you don't talk about money, you will fight about it. If you don't talk about it while you're calm and collected, while you're happy, habang meron pa kayong chance to plan together, you will end up arguing about it. And money doesn't have to be a conversation that sparks argument. Money should actually be something that gets you both excited, because money can be something that fuels not just your needs, not just your wants, but also your future and your family's future. That's
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
What we do for this is we use different banks and we also diversify our assets. So instead of putting all of our money into one business, ang ginagawa po namin, okay, we'll put a little bit of money dito sa real estate business namin, put a little bit of money in the food and beverage business namin, put a little bit of money in investing to ourselves dahil napaka-importante din po to invest in yourself. And not just in investing and spending but also in saving up. At least mga 2 to 3 banks para alam mo na okay, pag dito ako sa bangko na to for saving yan lahat, pag dito sa bangko na to for spending yan lahat, pag dito sa bangko na to for investing yan lahat. Because if you put your eggs all in one basket, one of the things also that I learned, medyo practical lang ha, pag nakikita mo na ang dami-dami mong pera, mas masarap gumastos, diba? So if it's a little bit more nakahiwalay, mas makikita mo na, okay, so it's not enough pala. Pag wala akong enough na pera dito sa bangko na to, hindi ko siya gagalawin. So,
minimize spending on non-essentials. Ayan, yung mga Shopee Lazada. Oh my gosh, ang dami ko nagastos na ganyan.
Yeah.
Buti na lang, in our case, si Joyce is here to actually talk me out of it. But she doesn't get mad at me. She talks to me and do you really need it? Yun yung tinatanong niya sa akin.
And ang isa sa sinasabi ko kay Juancho, one of the things that is a culprit for this is yung Latte Factor. Yung sinasabi ng Latte Factor sa Automatic Millionaire wherein pag mura siya, akala mo okay lang. Kasi mura naman yan eh. Ano ba naman yung 100 pesos na kape, di ba? Pwede naman, kayang-kaya ka naman bilhin yun. Pero, i-try mo i-compute yung 100 na yun, i-times 4 mo, tapos i-times mo sa ilang weeks sa isang taon, madaming pera yung nagagastos mo nang hindi mo napapansin. So, make sure that you figure out kung ano yung mga needs mo at alunag yung mga wants mo. Because once you figure that thing out, mas magiging careful ka, di ba? Mas magiging careful ka. Let's go to investing naman. Wow.
Investing!
I think one of the best things that you can do when it comes to investing is to really talk about those things. Like we talked about, Juancho and I talked about, okay, ano yung mga babayarin mo monthly? What are the things that you're paying for? Is it your mortgage? Is it your car? And then next, pag-usapan nyo, what are the things that you want to invest on? Juancho is very good at investing on, his food and beverage businesses. I'm very good at investing in real estate. So, maghati kayo, divide and conquer kayo sa mga investments nyo, di ba? And communicate about it. And pag hindi nyo napag-usapan yun, magkakagulo kayo. Kami ang ginagawa namin, dinadelegate namin. Anytime na it's about investing on new businesses, ventures, ganyan, talking to mga accountants, si Juancho, lahat yan. Ako naman more on the creative side. What are the things that we're not seeing? Is it other investments that we could also do? So, yeah. One of the things that ginawa namin ni Juancho when we got married, actually the first thing that I did when Juancho started giving me his money was I bought him a health card and I bought him life insurance and health insurance. So, Juancho is now well insured with everything that he didn't have that. And, I was telling him that the first investment that you should always make is an investment to yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anybody else. That's the important thing that you have to realize. Gusto mong alagaan yung pamilya mo? That's a good thing, yes. But you have to first take care of yourself. Because if you don't do that, wala kang magagawa for the future. And now that we have a family, nagulat din ako dahil tinitingnan na namin yung mga educational plans, investments for the future, etc. Actually, the best time for you to start, you always have to have an emergency fund. That's one, right? But also, you also have to start your retirement fund as early as in your 20s. Kahit konti-konti lang, every month maghulog ka lang, kahit maliit na pera lang yan every month, it will accumulate over the years. And magugulat ka na lang na meron ka ng retirement fund. So, hindi ka matatakot. Anything happens, right?
So, our last point naman is make smart goals for your financial plans. This is well-documented.
Pero simple.
A well-documented theory which is smart goals. So, literally smart. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely.
Every year, pag bagong taon, Juancho and I would have a SMART goals financial date. And sasabihin ko sa kanya, okay love, ito yung quota mo for this month. for the first quarter of 2021, ang quota mo sa akin for per month is ganito. So, ang quota niya is, ito dapat yung mapasok niya na pera sa family namin. Goal lang naman yun. Syempre, hindi ko naman siya aawayin.
Parang sales, di ba? Pero syempre may incentive rin naman ako pag na-hit ko yung goal na yun.
Obviously, nabuntis nga. Pero yeah, so you have to have those conversations, right? And then make it specific and measurable. So it doesn't have to be complicated. For example, sabihin mo na nagda-date night kami every week, di ba? O love, kahit na medyo may budget tayo, ang smart, ang specific at measurable, achievable goal natin for this week ay 3,000 pesos lang yung magagastos natin for eating out on a very fancy date night.
Max.
Ganyan. So,
Max or budget.
Oo.
May budget tayo sa buong week na yun para makakain tayo sa gusto nating restaurant.
these are important things to consider because if you want to be a good investor, you also want to be a good entrepreneur in your head. And it doesn't mean na magiging businessman ka or whatever, pero entrepreneur in the sense na you're handling your finances and you're also allocating things in a business perspective, diba? Na alam mo kung saan napupunta yung savings, alam mo kung saan napupunta yung expenditures, at alam mo din kung saan napupunta yung investings mo.
Final word, siguro being mindful. You have to be mindful about your money. Again, guys, money isn't evil. The love of money can be evil. Okay, so it's not that we shouldn't gain or want to indulge, but we have to be mindful and smart about where your money goes.
That's right. And of course, for me, I wanted to remind you guys that, you know, the most important thing that you have to think about now that you're starting up and that you're building is to make sure that you know your purpose, that you know your priorities, and that you actually make actionable plans towards those things. Make sure that you make plans, diba? Syempre, hindi naman masusunod lahat ng plano natin, but better to have those things in place just in case, diba? Pwede mo siyang gamitin. Don't forget to openly communicate with your spouse at lagi niyong tandaan that your spouse and your family, you're always on the same team. So work as a team and make sure that you also look for good people that could help you reach those goals that you have for your life, whether that's physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, or financially. Thank you once again to Pru Life UK and Pru Wise Webinars for having us. We love you guys!